All right, hello everybody, and welcome to my presentation on Forging Stronger Soldiers. It's Unleashing the Power of Emotional Intelligence in the Military. And this is presented by myself, Trey Ryder, and as you'll see on these slides as well, Forging Life, that is something that I've created myself, so you'll see that on parts of this presentation as well. So as we jump into this, we're going to start out with the objectives that we have here. And as you can see on the screen, identify what emotional intelligence is. We're going to discuss challenges in the military, discover benefits of EI, a case study in combat operations, strategies for enhancing EI, implementation challenges and solutions. And you'll see me kind of cross-reference both stating emotional intelligence as well as EI. I will use that kind of back and forth. So if you have any questions as to what EI is, it is emotional intelligence. So as we kind of jump into this, it's in a world of military operations where challenges and complexities exist. It's not just physical strength that sets apart exceptional soldiers. A crucial element often overlooked that plays a pivotal role in military success is emotional intelligence. We are here to explore the pressing need for emotional intelligence within the military and understand the impact on the well-being and effectiveness EI has. We will uncover the unique challenges faced by military personnel, the strains that they endure both mentally and emotionally, and potentially consequences that can arise when EI or emotional intelligence is overlooked. We will explore the benefits of EI enhancing teamwork and nurturing exceptional leadership. By addressing these crucial aspects, we can unlock the true potential of our military, enabling them to navigate the operational environment with adaptability, self-awareness, and empathy. This will empower our soldiers to forge stronger bonds, make sound decisions, and exhibit effective leadership. So I want to welcome you to the journey and discovery of emotional intelligence in the military. Now, the emotional intelligence and components, as you see here, emotional intelligence is defined as the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions in oneself as well as others. So the key components I'm about to discuss in some of the upcoming slides here is you'll see we're going to talk about self-awareness, empathy, adaptability, and effective communication. So I'm going to jump into the very first one here, which is self-awareness. And so uh, EI encompasses self-awareness, empathy, adaptability, and effective communication, as I just previously stated. And these qualities are vital not only on the battlefield, but also in demanding and ever-changing dynamics of life. A lot of what we're going to be talking about can actually be used at the home as well in different job forces. You'll end up understanding this a little bit further as we go on. So self-awareness, as we jump into the very first one, is a deep understanding of one's emotions, strengths, weaknesses, values, and how they influence behavior and interactions with others. So some of the impact in regards to self-awareness, it impacts decision making, mitigating impulsive or biased decisions, triggers emotional states. So we jump into stress management in regards to self-awareness. For you specifically, it's self-awareness allows you to recognize signs of stress such as heart rate, irritability, and decreased concentration. And you can, if you can notice this within yourself, you'll also notice it within others too, which we'll talk about a little bit later in regards to leadership abilities. So resilience, by understanding emotional reactions and triggers, you can develop strategies to bounce back from setbacks, maintain focus, and adapt to challenging circumstances. So it's very important to really understand the resilience and how you can build that within yourself, which we will discuss a little bit later on as well. The last portion of this, and we'll hear this a couple times during this presentation, is interpersonal relationship. And by understanding your own communication style, emotional responses, biases, and can better manage conflicts, build rapport with your team, and promote positive relationships. This helps to empathize with others' perspectives and adjust as needed. So it's not just about seeing about your own perspective. When we talked about, or when I stated about biases, right? We create a filter within our life. When we go through experiences or we go through thoughts within our own self, we end up creating these filters or biases. And it's based off of what we know and understand. We collect this data and we say, well, if we do X, Y, and Z, then we will get A, B, and C. So that's creating those biases within and understanding to help others identify those as well. So by being more self-aware, you can forge better and more meaningful relationships and ultimately contribute to the success of overall mission. All right. So as we jump into the next section here is emotional intelligence components. We're continuing on with empathy. This is our second portion within those first couple that we stated here. So empathy is a key component of emotional intelligence. So as you can see here, the ability to understand and share the feelings and perspectives and experiences of others. So it helps by building camaraderie with trust and rapport, enhances communication, conflict resolution, support well-being, and fosters effective leadership. By understanding what other people are going through instead of just yourself, it helps you to really be able to relate. So when I speak about building rapport, that's being able to understand and really put yourself in the position of other people and allowing them to open up to speak what is on their mind. So getting into a little bit further here, building trust and rapport, we're going to speak about that now, is strengthens bonds between people, creating an environment of trust, understanding, and mutual support. By showing a genuine concern for teammates, it enhances the sense of belonging and camaraderie. Now, one of the things, as myself being prior military, one of the things we pride ourselves on is the camaraderie. And there's nothing else like the camaraderie within the military elsewhere in the world. And I say that because we put our life on the line for each other. And in turn, we have to have that same respect given back to us, knowing that we are completely covered in a 360 diagonal. If something happens, that we know that somebody else has our back. So jumping into enhancing communication is by those that demonstrate empathy, they actively seek to understand and perspectives and emotions of others. This increases the effectiveness of communication. So really by understanding what people are going through, even if you're seeking to understand, asking those questions, bringing those different thoughts up, and understanding the possibility of emotions that they're dealing with. So then we jump into conflict resolution. How can this really help with conflict resolution? And realistically, by putting yourself in someone else's shoes, you can see different viewpoints and find common ground. This creates a more meaningful dialogue leading to better resolutions. So when we talk about the conflict resolution, and earlier we talked about the bias, right? So having that filter, and when we can really sit back and put ourselves in somebody else's shoes once again, that gives us a different viewpoint. So then the last portion, I must actually I get two more here, two more points. The first one is support and well-being. So you may find yourself facing difficult or stressful situations, and demonstrating empathy towards one another actually creates a supportive culture, allowing someone to feel comfortable to reach out and seek help. And empathy helps you to recognize your teammates may be struggling, enables you to have a swift intervention. And this is really important, both on a leadership level as well as a peer level. You may have heard, 22 a day. This is a veteran thing that happens. Approximately 22 people commit suicide every single day as a veteran. And by having a little bit more empathy and emotional intelligence, we can really get ahead of this 22 a day. And that shows just in this little point here that I'm speaking about support and well-being is once we can identify these things that are going on with different people, if we can make it easier for people to come up to us and talk to us, then we might just save their life. And us as other individuals, if we can identify they're starting to go through things, even if they're trying their best to hide it, then we might be able to identify it and talk to them, bring it up to them, and see if we can actually get them the help that they need. So then that leads me to the last point here about fostering effective leadership. So effective leadership is empathy is empathy is the hallmark of effective leadership in the military. And leaders can understand and identify the needs and concerns of their subordinates and make decisions for the well-being of the team. This grows loyalty and a shared sense of purpose within the unit. Now, as we get into the next bullet here, adaptability, and this refers to the ability to adjust and thrive in the face of changes, circumstances, and unexpected challenges in evolving operational environments. So you may understand like things may be thrown at you in life. And I don't want to talk to you just about the military, but this is also for you, the adaptability in your life. Once we if we can be more adaptable, there's a lot more things that we can do to overcome the challenges in life. So significance of adaptability is dynamic operational environments. So it might be with you in life, maybe you're married, you have a different job, or maybe you have two different jobs plus college, and you might have to change yourself as you go into these different roles. So that's going to be an important thing here that I'll be speaking about here in just a minute. The flexibility in positions or tasks, resilience in adverse conditions. So there's that resilience word again, and interpersonal flexibility and innovation and problem solving. So as we jump into dynamic operational environments, its operations can take place in rapidly changing environments. By being adaptable, you can quickly assess new situations, adjust strategies as needed, and make quick decisions. This can even be looked at as, like I previously stated, changing from the work environment to the home front or the home environment. As soon as you walk through that door, being able to put that mom, dad, significant other hat on and leave that other stuff behind. So then we jump into flexibility in positions or tasks. And I said adaptable individuals are willing and capable of taking on new and diverse roles and tasks. They possess the skills set and are learning and acquiring new skills to contribute. By being adaptable, you can optimize resourcefulness. And there's an individual in personal development that once said this: we do not lack in resources, we lack resourcefulness. And what is stated by that is, and I want to say it was Tony Robbins that actually said that. And he's talking about the fact that resources are all around us. We have the internet now. We can quickly look up any type of information we might need. But if we don't know how to use the internet, we are lacking resourcefulness. So it's about reaching out and understanding to be able to use those resources. So that's when I'm speaking on that. And then we're going to jump into resilience in adverse conditions. So how can we bounce back, right? And as the military operations can subject personnel to physical and emotional challenging situations. And by being adaptable, you can cope adversity, bounce back from setbacks, and maintain a more positive mindset. So it's not about not feeling the challenges that come up or not feeling the emotions that come up, but it's about having those tools, those resources, and resourcefulness to be able to understand what you're going through, right? That self awareness that we talked about earlier as well. And really just seeing that you're able to go through those challenges and then say, okay, I'm here. And how do you pick yourself back up? And that's what resiliency that we're talking about. Then we're getting into interpersonal flexibility, and uh, that can effectively collaborate with individuals from different backgrounds, adapt communication styles, and build rapport with the team or local communities. So even though I do talk about the military as well, there's a lot of this that you can take home to be able to use on your own, and kind of adjust the verbiage. So when I talk about local communities, even though it's military, you could be going into a community of individuals that have certain beliefs and values in one area. And then when you go to a different area, it might be a completely different outlook on their life and who the enemy is and things of that nature. So it's about being able to be really just be able to be flexible in those different backgrounds and build the rapport as necessary. So you have to be able to create the flexibility within you and who you're talking to. And once again, as I stated in here, adapt communication styles, where I talk to my kids completely different from my wife, and that's because my wife can understand more things than when I'm talking to a child. So I have to kind of dumb things down and expand the sentences that I'm speaking about so they have a better understanding. So that's showing adapting to communication styles. Uh, Now, as we get into innovation and problem solving, that is by being adaptable, you can bring a creative and innovative mindset to operations or challenges in life. You may hear the term thinking outside of the box, and this helps generate new ideas and propose alternative solutions to complex problems. This helps to identify opportunities and seize advantages in dynamic situations. And you can ultimately you can develop adaptability through realistic training and challenges scenarios, encourage critical thinking, and promote problem solving skills. So hopefully that isn't too crazy of information. You're following what I'm kind of laying out here so far. Now, as we get into this next one about effective communication, effective communication ensures that information is accurately conveyed, meaning uh, talked to, it's sent from the person that is communicating the message, and instructions are understood. So the sender or the receiver of the message understands exactly what you're talking about, and objectives are achieved. So through effective communication, there's two portions here that we're kind of speaking on, the sender as well as the receiver. If the sender is sending something through their communication style, but the receiver has a different communication style, then it's not going to get through. It's going to be received differently. So when we do the effective communication, the sender sends, the receiver needs to be able to verify, this is what I understand, this is what I hear, is this what you want me to do? Absolutely. Okay, go forward. Or can you clarify something? So now as we jump into some of these different bullets, we're going to talk about mission clarity here. We're going to talk about operational coordination, chain of command, safety and security, and interpersonal relationships, which I told you was going to be coming up again. And as we see here, um, the effective communication, as I stated already, it ensures the personnel have a clear understanding of objectives, strategies, and plans. It enables leaders to accurate articulate goals and expectations, and it helps teams and members by everyone aligning and working towards a common purpose. So once again, even if I'm staying and talking to you guys and you're not in the military, Thinking this as being a husband, father, a wife, mother. You are a leader, right? If you are have friends, even if you're not married, right? If you have friends, they may look at you as being a leader, and it's just really coming up with that goal. What are you doing tonight? And expectations. Hey, let's go out and have some fun. Let's go to this concert. We'll come back, make sure everybody's taken care of. So jumping into operational coordination is operations involve coordination between multiple units, branches, and individuals. And effective communication enables timely and accurate transmission of information. So when I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you talk to your friends and you said you were going to meet up by the elevators, and all of a sudden that coordination or somebody didn't pass on the right information, you have people missing within the entire group. Now, once again, we're talking about operational coordination in the military, where you have different levels of leadership, and all this information needs to be passed as quickly as possible because somebody's life might be at risk. So it's very important operational coordination, and information is passed through as quickly as possible. Sorry, guys, that was my fire pager. So getting into chain of command, that's effective communication within the chain of command enables leaders to convey orders, provide guidance, and disseminate critical information to their subordinates. This also promotes subordinates to seek clarification, communicate concerns to the leaders, as we talked about in that effective communication as well. You're seeing it here a little bit. In the same kind of context for chain of command. Ultimately, who we can use to be able to come up to that first line supervisor or the one of your friends or the next person. So safety and security by communicating vital information regarding potential threats, hazards, or changes in operational environment. Timely and accurate communication allows for appropriate risk assessment, implement safety measures, and execute to protect the personnel and assets. So once again, I'll use this as you going out with friends. It's being able to understand the safety. Okay, if we're going to go out and have a drink tonight, do we have a plan of how we're going to get home if everybody's drinking? Well, maybe we can make sure somebody's in charge that is not going to be drinking, is going to make sure that everybody gets home as safely as possible and not do anything too crazy and stupid, right? So now we're sitting here looking at different ways to mitigate threats, which a threat could be, law enforcement just getting out there and doing something stupid, which is, kind of falls into that hazard, and changes in the operational environment, right? So going back to the drinking, as people have more and more drinks, now is somebody getting uh, too trashed or too much alcohol in their system that they're no longer effectively able to walk or do something? How can we make sure that we're there to help, right? So we're looking at the security and the safety. So now as we jump back into interpersonal relationships, this promotes open dialogue, encourages active listening, and enhances understanding. So strong communication skills facilitate teamwork and collaboration and the development of trust and camaraderie. So all of these are really important. And to develop effective communication, exercising skills, including active listening, clear articulation, and the use of standardized communication protocols. So when I say, how do you practice effective communication or listening skills, right? That comes down to you really just being able to sit back and listen so somebody can feel heard and understood before you just jump in and try to express your side of the story. So it's basically holding yourself back from making comments before it's truly needed to have. All right, so as we jump into this next portion here, uh, hopefully you guys are tracking and yeah, not too far too much information is being delivered here. But challenges the military faces with emotional intelligence. The challenges that's truly faced is high stress environments, traditional military culture, and we'll speak about all these as well. Limited training and education, operational demands and time constraints, in transition and reintegration. So the very first one that we're speaking on is the high stress environments. And this is the demand of combat, exposure to trauma, and deployments can make it challenging for service members to manage their emotions and manage or maintain emotional balance. So the pressure to perform under stressful conditions can impede the application of emotional intelligence skills. So as people, I know we're winding down in a lot of our um, combat roles currently, but needless to say, there's still a lot of deployments that are going on, and going out there just once or twice, it may not be too bad. But as we continue stacking these stressful levels and these stressful deployments on people, it really creates a um, it, people start shutting down their emotions. That's what they have to do to really be able to cope with the things that is going on within themselves. So these different traumas and everything else that keep popping up, they really start shutting off the emotional aspect of themselves to not deal with it. So that's a big challenge on the high stress environments. Now, as we talk about traditional military culture, the traditional military culture has emphasized discipline and toughness. And because of the culture, emotional intelligence may not be fully embraced or prioritized. Some people may see it as being too touchy-feely, and that's not what the military needs. They need those tough, rugged individuals. So that old tradition military culture can still be out there and could slow the embracing of emotional intelligence. Then we get into the limited training and education. While some branches of the military recognize the importance of EI, there may be limited formal training and education programs available to develop these skills. Lack of resources, time constraints, and competing priorities can hinder EI training. So, lack of resources that are out there, there's still so much studies that are going on about emotional intelligence, and there's still a lot to be discovered and learned about. So then the time constraints where military, you're constantly in this ever evolving training, preparing for war, things of that nature, that the time constraints to get the stuff done may not be there. And as well as prioritizing competing different trainings that are already mandatory. Can we fit in these emotional intelligence trainings? And if it was a yearly training, how much more time did the military need to be able to actually go through this information? So then we jump into the operational demands and time constraints. I know I kind of previously talked about that too. Due to the fast pace of ongoing operations, that can leave little room for the EI practices. Personnel may not have the time to process emotions, engage in self-awareness or empathy building exercises. So as we talked about the self-aware, I dove into it a tiny bit, but really sitting back and being able to, uh, so to speak, smell the roses and take in the different things and look at themselves and what is creating my heart to race so much in these instances, what is creating me to lash out at these people when I shouldn't be getting so angry. And by having that self-awareness and figuring those things out, it truly is can help out. But still, the operational demand and time constraints means that people may not have enough time to do the self-reflection, self-awareness that is needed. or even getting out there and creating these empathy building exercises. So then the transition reintegration, this is going to be the last portion here. And uh, the military, they do so much training. And then next thing you know, they have to move on to their next assignment. So, or they're getting out. And so going into this, the transition process from the military life to the civilian life can be difficult, and the process can be mentally challenging for service members. Reintegration into civilian society has been proven to be stressful with career changes, mental attitudes of others outside of the military. So to kind of unpack this is when I got out of the military, I thought I had everything under control. And when I got out there, I started my first civilian job, and then 3 months into it, everybody in the entire company on the sales channel was let go, right? So when you think you have things figured out, next thing you know, you don't. It's not consistent. You don't know if your job's going to be there 1 minute or not. You have an issue with people relating to you as you go through the civilian side, where people can understand the things you've gone through, but they don't necessarily fully understand it. So then getting into just the different attitudes of people. Some people aren't in the military. It's a very team organized society where everybody's trying to help one another out. And then often in the civilian side, I've seen, and maybe it's my only, just my viewpoint, but I've talked to a lot of people that have gone through similar situations. And that's the fact that they're in it for themselves, on the benefit for them and not the greater group of people. So the reintegration, the military, you're given a purpose. Here's what you're going to do. This is your purpose, to make sure that everybody comes home, to learn as much as you can, to be a team player. Loyalty, respect, everything. It's given to you, and then you get out of the military and it's all ripped away, and you don't know what your purpose is, because now you're out there trying to figure it out. And this can also lead to the potential suicides that we talked about previously. So overcoming these challenges, it requires a multifaceted approach that involves leadership commitment, training programs, cultural shifts, and ongoing support. And then as we get into benefits of practicing emotional intelligence, some of the topics here is enhanced decision making, improved team dynamics, effective leadership, enhanced resilience, effective communication, once again, and improved mental health. So these are definitely the benefits that, just by enhancing emotional intelligence, that you can receive, as well as military can receive. And let's kind of jump into the first one here is enhanced decision making. EI enables military personnel to make more informed and effective decisions. By understanding and managing the emotions, individuals can think more clearly, assess situations, and consider the impact of themselves and others. Improve team dynamics. Emotional intelligence fosters positive interpersonal relationship and effective teamwork within the unit or the group. So people with high EI can empathize with their teammates, communicate effectively, and resolve conflict constructively. This leads to cohesion and trust among individuals. As we jump into effective leadership, EI is linked closely to effective leadership in the military. Leaders that possess emotional intelligence can inspire and motivate their subordinates and establish strong connections, while adapting their leadership style to meet the needs of different people. So imagine yourself being a parent and you're trying to talk to your kids. Of course, you can scare the crap out of them and ground them if they're doing something wrong. But if you possess that emotional intelligence, you can see what they're going through and what was truly making them act out. Was it the fact that you weren't around, or was it the fact that they're trying to figure things themselves? So there's a lot of different things in the so obviously emotional intelligence, it does affect the leadership in how you can portray, how you can understand the bigger picture of the group. So enhanced resiliency is the next one. I mentioned in previous slides as well. Ultimately, this enhances how someone can bounce back after setback. Effective communication, as we talk about as well, is people that are emotionally intelligent can express themselves clearly, actively listen to others, and adapt their communication style um, to do situations and individuals. So it's very important to have that effective communication. And in the military, once again, it's the same thing. It can cost somebody's life by not having that effective communication. In a relationship, if you're in a relationship right now, same thing. If you don't want to work on your effective communication style, you will see your relationship suffer. So the last portion here is improve mental health and well-being. So emotional intelligence is huge. Practicing emotional intelligence supports mental health and well-being. It allows you to manage emotions, cope with stress, and seek support when needed. And if once again, if you're a leader, it's the same thing. You'll be able to identify this stuff to really guide those that also need it. Now, as we get into the combat operations case study, I found this very interesting as I was going through additional information here. So this is based on during a deployment, a unit came under contact, which means being attacked. And during the contact, emotional intelligence was showcased by these three things: managing fear and anxiety, trust and camaraderie, and conflict resolution. So I'm going to get ready to kind of tell you a little bit about what happened here. During a sudden ambush, the unit came under heavy enemy fire. The service members who demonstrated emotional intelligence effectively managed their fear and anxiety. They kept their composure, made sound decisions, and coordinated their actions. Now, for those that may not have that emotional intelligence, you may see, or that has not gone through all the series of trainings, they could quickly duck and hide and not want to get out there. They may not have that positive mindset to understand what to go out and do. Those individuals who exhibited empathy, active listening, and emotional support created an environment where the team felt comfortable expressing their concerns, seeking help, and relying on each other. When I'm speaking on expressing concerns, it's about identifying the threat, right? So, hey, there's something over here that I hear, or this might be going on over there, right? Seeking help, passing it through the leadership to let them know to have them come up with the right avenues of approach to effectively help out the entire team. And then once again, relying on each other. So during extended periods of this of stress and isolation, conflicts arose within the unit. Those with high emotional intelligence were able to recognize and address conflicts promptly, using effective communication and empathy to find resolution, allowing the unit to get back on track swiftly. So I found that very interesting. And as we jump into this next slide here, some of the information pertaining to it is uh, the solutions that were implemented, and this is all regarding that situation of them being attacked and how they were able to respond. So the solutions that were implemented for EI was training and support counseling services. The unit received training including self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and effective communication. Counseling was made readily available, and some of the implementation strategy. They received regular trainings, team building exercises, and peer support initiatives were conducted to reinforce emotional intelligence. All right, getting into strategies to enhance emotional intelligence. It's self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, social skills, continuous learning, practice empathy in different contexts, and foster a supportive environment. So I'm going to jump into this a little bit more. I know I hit on self-awareness a few times. We're going to jump a little bit more into this. So self-awareness, as you heard, I kind of glanced over a few times, but now we're kind of jumping into it. Is the practice of mindfulness and self-reflection to become more aware of your emotions, thoughts, and behavior patterns. So really, when you do self-reflections, is why did I do what I did? Why did I feel the way that I felt? Why did I think that? Right? What are those thoughts and the behaviors, patterns that went along with it? Why did I act the way I did? It's really just breaking down the things that you personally do and finding out the true reason. And some of the things you can do to become more self-aware is keep a journal to record and analyze your emotions, the triggers, and things that set you off, and responses in different situations. So a journal is very helpful. Seek feedback from others to gain insights into how your emotional impact your interactions and relationships. So sometimes the best way to find out information is through asking others. And one of the things I love to say is if you were in a jar, right, you're the content inside of a jar and there's a label on the outside and it states all the ingredients or states what it is. You cannot read that jar from the inside. You need somebody on the outside to read it, from the outside looking in. So seeking feedback is very crucial as well. Okay, so that's the self-awareness. That's number one. Number two is in the self-regulation. So learn techniques to manage and regulate your emotions, such as deep breathing, relaxation, exercises, or meditation. Very big on the deep breathing is oftentimes we don't even use our full lung capacities, and it's very coincides with your heart rate and everything else. So just being able to slow down your breathing helps your body maintain a more positive environment. So meditation is really just trying to get there and silence the mind, and really find what you need to in those moments. So into self-regulation a little bit deeper is develop healthy coping mechanisms to deal with stress, such as physical exercise, engaging in hobbies, or talking to support person. In this self-regulation, right? A lot of times you'll see a lot of people that starts turning to alcohol or smoking or drugs or something else. And that's why I put in here about healthy coping mechanisms. So exercise is a great one. Goes back into the breathing and everything else. Engaging in hobbies, get yourself out there and become active. Oftentimes, especially during winter, a lot of people start staying in their homes more, doing less, and then more depressive states happen during winter time because they're not doing things outdoors or staying as active as possible, right? And then, or talking to a supportive person is realizing you're doing the self-reflection, self-regulation, understanding, hey, I'm not feeling very well. Let me reach out to somebody. Maybe it's your mom, maybe it's dad, sister, friend, whoever. But it's about having that helpline to be able to reach out. And then the last portion here is set clear personal boundaries and practice assertiveness to express your emotions and needs effectively. Getting into empathy, this is something I heavily live my life through, is practice active listening to understand others' perspectives, emotions, and experiences. Right, that means that your way isn't always the only way, and they have a different uh, perspectives and emotions and experiences. It could be because of their upbringing. So, because their upbringing is one way and your upbringing is completely different, that doesn't mean yours is right and theirs are wrong, or theirs is right and yours is wrong. It just means that you had two different environments that did the best that they could, and now you two are meeting and it's clashing. So, by understanding looking at other people's reasoning behind it and allowing it. Don't try to talk them out of their own, but it's about just understanding it. So put yourself in others' shoes and try to imagine how they might feel in different situations. And really, it's just about being in that moment going through whatever it is that they're going through. Show genuine interest in others' well-being and express empathy and support when they share their emotions or challenges. So don't dismiss somebody's emotions and challenges because it's important to them. Right. So then jumping into the next number 4, which is the social skill, and that is improve your communication skills by practicing clear and effective verbal and nonverbal communication. It is said that there is more nonverbal communication than there is verbal, meaning the words that you are speaking is only a small portion compared to what the body, the facial structure, everything else is talking about. So then learn to give and receive feedback constructively. Getting feedback, that doesn't mean that you did horrible. That means, hey, this is their perspective, and maybe you can build on that to become even better than what you are. Leave room for that growth. Never say that you are the best that you are, because there's always something else that you can do. Focus on specific behaviors rather than personal attacks. And then last portion of this for the social skills is develop conflict resolution skills to address conflicts and disagreements in a respectful and collaborative manner. All right. So a couple more spots here is continuous learning. As I said just a minute ago, is really just being able to never feel like you know everything, because as soon as you know everything, somebody else will surpass you because they are continuing to learn. So jumping into this, engage in emotional intelligence training programs, workshops, and courses to deepen your understanding and practice of emotional intelligence skills. I'm only giving you a small portion here. So this is just a building block for something even bigger. And some of the ways you can do that is read books, articles, research on emotional intelligence to expand your knowledge and gain new insights. Seek out a mentor or role model who demonstrates high emotional intelligence and learn from the experiences and strategies. Then, number 6, practice empathy in different contexts. So volunteer or engage in community service activities to interact with individuals from diverse backgrounds and develop empathy for their experiences. As you heard during this presentation, my fire pager went off, right? It's me getting out into the local community to volunteer my time to understand, see what else bigger is going on, and see how it can be of service, understand what other people are going through, and seeing different perspectives. You can also engage in active listening, empathy building exercises within your personal and professional relationships. The last portion here that I'm kind of gonna jump into is the 7th one is foster a supportive environment. Create a supportive and inclusive environment in your workplace and community where emotions are acknowledged, respected, and valued. Same with your relationship. If you're in a relationship, this is what people really seek out for, is really being acknowledged, respected, and valued. If you want to go and not value what your spouse is saying or that partner is saying, and you're shutting them down, you're not showing respect. You're not showing that they're valued. And if they're not feeling valued and respected, I guarantee you they're going to go somewhere else. Encourage open communication, collaboration, and empathy among team members or peers. Then promote emotional well-being and mental health initiatives that provide resources and support for emotional intelligence development, such as this presentation here. So this is going to be something I'm going to put on YouTube. So if you find it useful, then by all means, share the link. Allow somebody else to see this because they may need it too. All right, so now as what I would like to ask of you is call to action. Embrace emotional intelligence. I want you to understand that it's not just all the touchy-feely, but it's to enhance who you already are. So commit to your own personal growth. Seek resources, books, or however you want to learn. Podcasts are another great way. I've even though I have my own podcast called the Forging Life podcast, I've listened to so many other people out there to be able to understand and grow myself even bigger than what I was previously. And where I am now is probably nowhere near what I want to be in the future. Self assessment. Take time to assess your level of emotional intelligence. Identify your strengths and areas of improvement. Where can you get better at? And this is something that you need to look at. It does. It can be daily. It can be weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. But make sure you have that time to really assess, um, basically those strengths and weaknesses, how you can improve. Right. So then we get into practice mindfulness. Take a moment through your day to do a check-in. Identify emotions you had and understand why you had them. I do this often. I did it very recently. As a matter of fact, when I was talking with my wife, and right before she went to get in the shower, I won't go into all the nitty gritties. I sat there and I was doing some reflection, and I said, honey, how I said something previously, did that come off, or did you potentially take this in this manner? Because looking back at it, I can see how it could be used or felt differently. Meaning, I sent the wrong message to her, and how she received it could have been completely different than how I wanted to send it to her. And she said, yes, that's kind of how it was perceived. And I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that. But had I not done that self assessment, taken time to kind of reflect what was going on, those communication and everything else, then I could have missed, and that is something that she could have carried on to build more anger and resentment up against me just because of something I did or said. So make sure you're practice mindful. Like I said, take a moment throughout your day to do a check-in. Maybe it's just about yourself. Maybe it's just about why you did what you did. Identify your emotions you've had and understand why you had them. And any time that you put it on somebody else, meaning I got upset because of them, right? It wasn't because of them and their actions, it's because of you. By you saying it's me, you now have power to change what is going on. As soon as you allow somebody else to have that power, meaning they're the ones that got me upset, that means that you cannot change it. That means you can't change the emotion within you or how you perceived it. And just by somebody doing something that pisses you off, that could be the fact that those beliefs and values you have, maybe that's why you got upset, is because those values and beliefs were in question or they were challenged, right? So it's not that person, it's now your beliefs and values got challenged, and that created an emotion. So going a little bit deeper into this, and this is some extra value here, is there's going to be some type of action in your life. There's stages that you go through. There's going to be an action. Then there's going to be a thought because of that action. Then you're going to experience an emotion from it. And then from that emotion, you will then act. So if you can identify in that stage of things, you can then change the outcome. You can change the action in which you take. So jumping, hopefully that's understandable by what I'm speaking here. Now jumping into seek feedback, right? Ask for that feedback from trusted people for honest insights into emotional intelligence. Use that feedback for growth. Constantly be growing, right? It's so important, because as soon as you stop growing, then the world will start passing you up, so to speak, right? If you know everything right now, if you stop studying it, people will continue learning, and then they will then supersede you. So apply emotional intelligence, practice active listening, empathy, and effective communication. Those are your call to action. I hope that you will at least seek something within this. I hope you can take all 5 actions somehow in some way and watch this actually change your life. So that being said, there are definitely references that are here if needed. I can provide them to you as well. So I hope you guys had a great understanding about forging stronger soldiers and emotional intelligence, not only just for soldiers of the military, but also for you. So that being said, make the rest of your day the best of your day, and thank you so much for your time and listening.